Welcome to another video. In this one, we'll give you a technical breakdown of allow add record in Lookup. It's a really important feature, but it's fairly technical, so I kind of want to get into it and show you how it works. And I've got everything set up, so I'm just going to take you step by step rather than doing everything from scratch and waste more time. So first thing first, I want to create 2 pages. Okay, so you can create them either individually in 2 different projects or within the same project. It doesn't matter. So just to sort of give you a bit of a breakdown, it's like this. If you look over here in my project, I've got a home page, which is page 1, and then page 2. So I'll get into what each of the pages do, but the first one I want to focus on is the lookup. All right. And the lookup is over here, and what we're going to do is going to show you what the lookup is doing. So if you have a look at the configuration of this lookup, and I'm going to go into it now, I'm bringing back all the accounts. All right, so that's what I'm doing. And if I show you the lookup here, the way we do it is like this. We pick the object. In my case, it's the account. This one is automatically set for you. Account name contains the search text. Essentially, whatever you're searching on, based on that, it's going to bring back the account name. And then in the mapping, my value is account ID, text is account name, and I'm bringing an extra account type. And the way it works is like this. So if I look up, it's going to show tons of records that are coming in. So I can either look them up like this, and you can see multiple accounts are coming back. So that's that. And another thing I've done here is, if you click on the gear icon, go to interactivity, I've done allow add record. And this one is the feature that we're going to be focusing on. It's right over here. Right over here, and that's what we're going to focus on right now. And essentially allow add record is, let's say someone's looking up something and they can't find it and they want to add more records. This is what you do. But essentially, when do you want to show this allow add record? Do you want to show always, or do you want to show when there's no results? I think for this case it makes sense. If I can't find anything, I ask them to allow to add the record. Now in page 2, what I've done is I've added a simple field, which is account name, and what that's doing is allowing them to add account name and create it. No parameters are set. I'm just saying bring that in a modal, width 1000, height 1000, and position center. How does it work? It's like this. So let's say I type in ACC doesn't exist, for example. I don't know, it's just a random name, or we just say random. And as you can see, there's add record, and if I click on that, it's going to bring back my second page, which is over here, page number 2 in a modal. And now it's going to allow me to create an account. So that's all good, and it's working, it's fine. But now we want to focus on the most important part, which is page 2. So in page 2, I've created a simple field, account name, which is a text field, and a button. And this button is doing a few things. So first we're going to focus on the rule 1, which is Salesforce action. And what it's doing is creating an account, and I'm going to show you the push here. It's creating a simple account with the field mapped account name to account name. That's it. That's all it's doing at the end of the day. Nothing more to it. Just a simple account name to account name mapped over here. Really simple. And then from there on, what I'm doing is assigning this action to this button, which is over here. Now notice I've got this parameter on page 2. It's called a local ACC ID, or local account ID. So let's go back and review that. If I go over to pages and I click on the 3 dots here, I click configure actions. Under the static here, I've got local account ID. Now that's a local parameter to that page, not a global parameter, but a local. And that's what I've done. I've also created a project parameter, which is the global parameter. In fact, I've created 2. So in the variables, I've got 2. I've got global account ID and global account name. I'll explain in a second what global account name does and why we have it. But we also have global account ID. This is where I'm going to be passing the value from page 2 to overall global parameter. Okay, so if I go back to the Salesforce action here, and I configure action, and I look at the Salesforce action, I said pass it to the page 2 ID, which is fine. And then rule number 2, what I'm doing is a couple of things. I'm going to System Actions, and I'm clicking on Redirect / Go. There are 2 things I've done here, and both of them are highlighted for you. So right here, under these 2 here, that's what I've done. In these 2, I've configured some settings, which I'm going to show you right now. First one, I'm saying close the modal. So remember, everything comes up in a modal. I said close it after it's created my record. And then I'm setting some parent parameters. Now, basically, my global parameter, what I'm saying is, in my global parameter, pass the value page 2 account ID. So this one here is page 2 account ID. And if I was to draw this for you, it would kind of work like this. So what I'm saying is pass this value into here. That's what I'm doing. And that's how that works. I know it can be, sometimes you may confuse, but like, what does that mean? It means this value is going into here, and same for here. This value is going into here. And essentially what this is, on page 2, we've got account name. I'm saying pass it to my global parameter account name. And here, the page parameter, pass it to my global page parameter. That's what I'm doing here. So hopefully that's a clear enough explanation that I've done here. So essentially, I'll just double click here to show you. This is the local account ID passing to my global account ID. This is my account name on page 2 passing to my global parameter account name. Those are the 2 rules that I've configured in here. It's very, very easy to do, nice and simple. Alright, so once all of that's done, what happens to my global parameters? That's the most important part, right? So if I go over to, let's go to page 1, and then we'll do it from there, even though it doesn't matter, but we'll do it anyway. In my page 1, what I've done is, if you look in my custom variables here, I've got conditions on them. If you look over here, there are 2 rules I've written. The first one, I've said, if global account ID is not empty and global account name is not empty, then affect some elements. And I'm going to pull up all the affected ones, which are just these 2 here. And essentially what these 2 mean is this. The lookup that's in on the page 1, I'm saying set the value from global account ID. So on page 2, when we create the ID, we pass it to the global account ID, and I'm saying set the value from there to here if it's not empty. And then in the label, I'm doing the same. Global account name, set the value from global account name into the label. That's all there is to it. And then in rule number 2, what I've said is this. So let me show you my rule number 2. And it's the same condition as well for rule number 2. Account ID is not empty, and global account name is not empty. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm setting a blank value here. This is just a blank value. That's all I've done. Blank value for account ID and account name, because we want to reset that value in case we go back to page 2 again and create a new account. That's really important. So here, all I've said is set value blank. That's it. Nothing in here. It's just blank. It's setting blank value. So after all of that's done, we'll do a quick test, and I'll show you how all this works. We'll go to preview, and I'm going to switch on the debug mode here. So here, debug mode, you can see the global account ID is empty, global account name is empty. I'm going to type in ACC node, which means it doesn't exist. Add record, and we're going to go ACC yes, and it's going to create the account. It's going to close my modal. It's going to pass the value, and then it's going to show me this over here. And this is how you do it. This is essentially all there is that needs to be passed into this account ID lookup field. And if I click on here, you can see that that's the new account that's just been created. And yeah, that's the technical breakdown for you. And obviously, the reason why these 2 values are not there, because remember we said we would reset these values on the second rule which I showed you guys, hence why there's no values in here. But to start off with, there would be values in there. And that's it.